So hello everyone. So in the previous class we discussed about what the concept of OOPS, that is the object oriented programming. As I told you, there are some characteristics of object oriented programming. So we'll discuss one by one the characteristics. Okay. So the characteristics of object oriented programming. So the first characteristic, as I told you, the first characteristic is the objects. It is the objects. Okay. So what is the objects is? The objects are the basic building blocks for designing the programs. Objects are the basic building blocks for designing the program. Okay, so you can have the number of blocks for designing the programs, and also an object may represent any object, whatever. If I say the object, okay, an object can represent, it may be represent any person. Okay, object may be any person or a place, or it may be any table of data. Okay, or a table of data, that is called an object. Okay, it may be any person, place, or a table of data. Okay, and exact definition of the object is in the object oriented programming, that is, an object is the collection of data members and also your member functions, whatever the data members with that associated member functions. Okay, an object, you can call it as definition, an object is, okay, as I told you, it is a collection. Okay, the building blocks means it is a collection of data members. It is a collection of data members and associated member functions. So we call it as an object. An object is a collection of data members and associated member functions. For example, if I take an example as apple, orange, mango. Okay, these are the what? Apple, mango, and orange are the objects. These are what? Are the objects. Okay, are the objects of class fruit. Object of the class fruit, because apple, orange, mango, like that, whatever your other fruits will also include in that class fruit. The class is the fruit and these are the objects. Okay, objects may be anything or a person or a place. Okay, so this is an example. So when you go for the next one, that is, this is object, regarding whatever the object is, what? Building blocks, and it may be any place or a person, okay, or a data. And main important is the object is a collection of data members and the member functions. Okay, so this is an example. Now when you go for the second one, that is the second characteristics, that is the classes. What is that? Classes. Okay, what is a class here? A class is a way of grouping what? Objects. Class is a way of grouping the objects having similar characteristics. See, apple, orange, mango are the similar characteristics, means this comes under the fruit. Okay, so the definition tells a class is a collection of, okay, So the class is a collection of or a grouping of objects, or a grouping of objects. So what type of it is? Having the similar characteristics. Objects having similar characteristics. This is called the class. Okay. So if I take another example, that is we have a planets. We have planets. Then we have a sun. We have a moon. So these are what? These are planets, sun, moon are the members of a class. Are the members. These are the members of a class. What? These are members of a class. These three are the members of a class, that is solar system. Solar system. Class solar system. Okay. So a class is a collection of or a grouping of your objects having similar characteristics. Okay. So example, planet, sun, moon, which are the members of a class what? Solar system. Okay. And here a class can hold both data and the function. Very important, a class can hold both the data and also the functions. A class can hold both data and function. It can hold both the data and also the your functions. So when you go to the example, as see here, this is simple example. So if I take an object, okay, object I will take object 1. If I take a student, okay, student, if I take the student is an object, okay, in that we have the member data, okay, and whatever the students having the name, students have the name, students have the register number, and also students may have any course. Okay, there are so many the students. You see only 3: name, register number, and the course, and member functions. So if I take the member functions, get data, the function, and also we have a display. We take another one function, that is a display is another function. So here these 3 are what? These are the data members. These are what? These are the member functions. So that is what they are telling. A class can hold both data and functions. So the data may be anything related to that particular object, and also have number of functions you can create for that particular member of the data. Okay. So this is what the class. So class is a collection of or a grouping of the objects having the similar characteristics. Okay. Next, when you go for the third one, that is first one is the object, second one is the class. Okay. So these two are very important, because when you go to the next videos or the next chapters, classes and objects are we are using because for the OOPS concept. Okay. So when you go for the third one, that is data abstraction. What is the meaning of data abstraction? Is here data abstraction permits what? the user to use an object. It permits user to use an object without knowing what the internal, without knowing your internal working, or without knowing its internal working. That is called data abstraction, which can be permits for the objects without knowing its internal working. Okay, and also the abstraction. Okay, it is what? It refers to the process of representing essential features. Okay, so abstraction. So main definition of this data abstraction is this one. Abstraction refers to, okay, what it refers to the essential features. So in what way? Without including the background details. Without including the background details. Without including the background details, or we can call it as explanations. Any explanations. No need to give any explanation. That is called data abstraction. So abstraction refers to the essential features without including the background details or explanations. Okay, so here also we'll have some functions and also the data. So it may be like this. We have some functions. So it may be number of functions. We have a function 1, function 2, like this functions. Okay, and also the data. You can have the number of data 1, data 2, like this. We have a number of data. So these are the functions, which includes the functions and also the data. Okay, so when you go to the classes, which is having refers to the next to the data abstraction, that is refers to the essential features without including the background details or explanations. That is very important. Okay, when you go to the next one, that is fourth one, we saw the classes, we saw the objects, we saw what is the data abstraction. Next, very important, that is data encapsulation. Fourth one is data encapsulation. So what is the meaning of data encapsulation is, okay, it combines both the data and functions into a single unit. Okay, it combines both data and functions. Combines both the data and functions into a single unit. We call it as data encapsulation. Okay, and it is called as data encapsulation. Okay, right? It's the definition. Okay, so when you go to that, which data encapsulation, which enables the data hiding or the information whatever the information you are adding into that. Okay, it enables data hiding or information hiding. That is what the data encapsulation. Okay, when you go for the, we have the combining data and functions. So when you go to this, we create this. Here we have an object. Okay, we have the objects, the data, and some methods. We have some methods. So this is what the data encapsulation. Okay. So next, further, when you go to the fifth one, that is very important. So you have a full one chapter for this concept, that is important chapter, that is inheritance. Fifth one, that is inheritance. Inheritance. What is the meaning of inheritance? It is the process of forming what? A new class from a existing class. The definition tells, the inheritance definition tells, the process of what? Forming a new class. Forming a new class for what? For an existing class. Okay, from an existing class is called inheritance. It's called what? Inheritance. So here the process of forming a new class, very important, from an existing class. There are two terms, one is new class and also the existing class. So here the existing class, we call it as whatever the existing, which is already are there, that is called a base class. We call it as a base class. And the new class, we call it as a derived class. We call it as derived class. So a new class and also the, that is existing class, is called base class, and the new class is called as derived class. That is what the concept of inheritance. Inheritance is a process of forming a new class from the existing class, is called inheritance. Existing class we call it as base class, new class we call it as a derived class. Okay, and when you go to the inheritance, there are different types of inheritance. That is, we call it as single inheritance, then multiple inheritance, then we have multi-level inheritance, then we have hybrid inheritance, then we have hierarchical inheritance. So like this we have different types of inheritance. So each have the different way of giving the definitions. Okay, so the main motto is the inheritance is the process of what? Forming a new class from the existing class. It is called the base class and also the derived class. So that is the definition of the inheritance. Very important concept. In future we are using this in detail about this single inheritance, multiple inheritance and multi-level inheritance. Okay, and next one, when you go for the next one, that is called overloading. Overloading is also having one concept. We have another chapter as a function overloading and also your operator overloading as there. So overloading, what it will do? Overloading allows object to have different meaning. Okay, overloading, but it gives overloading. When you go to this overloading, there is a full chapter, that is function overloading is a one chapter. Okay, overloading allows objects to have, so what it contains what? Different meaning. It contains have different meaning. So what type of different meaning is? It depending on upon the context. Depending on depending upon the context. So what type of context, in what type of data you are using, based on that this overloading gives you the meaning. So when you go to the overloading, there are two types. One is, as I told you, function overloading, and also the operator overloading. So when you go to the member functions, operator overloading, member functions, then you have to overload the functions, then you go for the operator. There are so many operators we are using for the overloading functions. Okay, so this is the basic definition of overloading. When you go to the next one, so that is seventh one, as that is your polymorphism. What is that? Polymorphism. Poly means many. Okay, so here what is the definition of polymorphism tells is the ability of an operator, you have to remember the definitions. Okay, the ability of an operator. So whatever the operator is given and the function okay, whatever the operator and the functions, to take multiple forms. To take, very important is what? To take multiple forms. So number of forms. Okay, multiple forms is known as what? Is known as polymorphism. Poly means many, so that's why it is a multiple. Okay, so the ability of an operator and a function to take multiple forms is called polymorphism. Then there is another characteristics, that is dynamic binding. So what is the meaning of dynamic binding is, it means the code, whatever the code associated, whatever the given code will be associated with the procedure call. Okay, when you give the code which will be associated with the procedure call is known only at the time of program. When you come to know that it is a procedure call, is known only when it comes to know is only at the time of program execution routine. Only at the time of program execution routine. Okay, so that is called dynamic binding. So last one, that is as your message passing. Last one is the message passing. That is very simple message passing. As the number of objects you are creating, from the objects you can pass the number of messages, and also with the classes. Okay, also with the classes. So that is what the message pass does. So objects, classes, data abstraction, then data encapsulation, then you have inheritance, then you have overloading, we have polymorphism, and also dynamic binding. These are the different characteristics of object oriented programming. So in the next video or in the coming class, we will discuss about what are the applications, what are the advantages of object oriented programming, and what are the disadvantages of object oriented programming. Thank you.